Hello, hello, hello. I hope you're having a great day. Again, I'm realizing I am unsure if the audio is coming from my webcam or if it's coming from a headset because, of course, I utterly forgot to check those settings. Um, but yeah, it is Friday. It's almost 10 minutes past 2 p.m. So I am, for the matter of speaking, a slightly bit late today. But yeah, had some things to round up first before I could go live. I am super happy to see you all, and I was planning on progressing on the WaffleChic Shrug, which is basically a long um, square um, in the waffle stitch, which will be sewn together, and we are definitely not anywhere close to being there yet. I did work a bit on it since Wednesday. I did work a bit on it since Wednesday, and I also finished my hat, um, though that's upstairs. Um, and yeah, so that's the plan. And I still have, of course, also the cowl that I'm working on in the round. But I think the main plan for today is just to continue on the Waffle Chick Shrug. Good morning, Revenant. Wonderful to see you. And good morning, Megan. I am live today and happy Friday. It is indeed a happy Friday. You know, my body is telling me I need weekend. I am so ready for weekend. I'm so ready just to sleep out tomorrow and, take a chill. That is currently what I feel I need. So that's a definite. Let's see. This is not acting as expected. That was better. So yeah. I am so ready for weekend. It's crazy. And I'm like, next week, I'm technically on vacation, but it's a workcation. So it's not like a vacation where I will rewind. I will be working. High fiber waffles should set you right. Yeah, hopefully. That should help me some at least. This is where we are. This is what's left currently on this cake. What I did do and reached to do before we went live was to, next to crapping lunch, cake up the next game. So that's kind of the size difference from a full cake. I don't think we're going to finish this one, but I have it caked up for the weekend. um, so I wanted to cake it up for the weekend. I did, I think, 3 or 4 more rows since last. So this is where we are at. And you can see this gorgeous waffly stitch pattern starting to emerge. Quite pleased. Hello, Susan. Good morning to you. So that's kind of what's going on. It is still for waffle stitch, I would see reasonably drapey. And yes, Megan, it is a super gorgeous color. I would call it royal blue. And I'm kind of hoping and looking really forward to combining this. And obviously, I'm making it big enough so I can still, for example, when we get closer to the spring, I definitely don't need my poncho. And sometimes even this gets warm, but still, I need a little bit for my shoulders. I can still wear it. For example, I tend to use these cotton basics as a help to keep me warm. And that would work fine with it. Those basics, they are just basically a basic t-shirt, 100% cotton or 95% cotton with a bit of elastane, so they can do a little bit of stretchy. Um, and they're just like no patterns, no nothing. It's just like a plain, neutral, long sleeve or short sleeve t-shirts. And I like them because you can combine them with everything. And in this case, soon I will be able to combine this one. And this one goes well with most of the colors I actually have. So yes, this is gonna be for me. At least that's a plan. And then we'll see how much yarn I have left and if I'll figure out to make something for someone else. So what I will do, I will put you guys down so you can follow a bit. As you notice, we are still on the old-fashioned YouTube stream, which means basically that I am still somewhat limited as to our technicalities of it. But um, it will hopefully soon improve. That is, I will, let me see. Yeah, so I got my computer started to set up. It was really cold when I had received it Wednesday, so I wanted to heat it up before I just powered it on. Like it was like ice cold. I'm surprised it wasn't like free, like it wasn't an ice cube I packed out. I started setting it up, but the reality is just I need time to set up. So that's gonna be my weekend project. Set up my new computer. I have the feeling that something is off. It is. Actually, I see I made a mistake in this row because this third stitch should have been a front post. So I'm just going to frog back 3 stitches. Thank God I see it now. So hopefully next time I go live, which will first be in February, well, February is also just pretty much around the corner. It's the 30th of January today. Think about that for a minute. But the plan is, if everything goes well, that I should be able to go live also from my new laptop on like Monday the 9th with the condition that everything goes according to plan. Because I am like, we just got home and sometimes my Monday scheduling goes completely wrecker. And since I just got home, it means I have to catch up on a lot of work too. So it's not 100% sure guarantee, but that is the goal. Let's just keep it like that. Last month's holiday. Cold is actually good for computers. May the odds ever be in your favor. You think you. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Scandalous Creations. I do believe her name is Sandra. I have this idea she's named Sandra, but she got a gifted membership. Thank you so much. So now we are going to see if I can actually succeed with what I attempted to do last time, because we are still on the basics. And the the good thing, hopefully, is that I hope to be able to get everything back up running optimally on that new computer with streaming programs and everything. Because what's likely happening is that my hardware just got too old, which I wouldn't be surprised about. The computer I'm currently using is like a 5+ years old. And henceforth also a laptop and not with a heavy graphic card or anything like that. So that's probably where it goes wrong. But I did actually invest in a bit more high-end computer um, in the hope that it will last me longer, or at least as long, but better. As my friends, Revenant gifted a membership. So thank you so much and welcome. Welcome. It's so much appreciated. Thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. But trust me, the support I really appreciate. So I am grateful. So yeah, I really hope that that's going to be fine. But yeah, of course, we're first going to be experiencing that like what? Not next week, but yeah, 2 weeks time. I should know. And I have a few things to get sorted before then. So it is a bit of a move, even though that said, generally with this window cloud and it moved a bunch of my stuff already, but I still need to install a ton of programs and sort stuff. And yeah, it's cool. I'll be fine. So I am on the row here in the waffle stitch where I need to do um, one front post, two regular, one front post, two regular, etc., all the way across. Um, always the first stitch of the row is the exception, of course, but generally we should be fine. And I will crack on and along on this. Susan says new hardware is always fun and exciting. It is. It is. I have been really, really mixed feelings about what to choose. I've been really happy. I have currently an Asus, and I ended actually up buying an HP. That's the first time I personally have had an HP. The only downside I find right now is it's a bit heavier. But further than that, that's mainly only going to be an issue when I'm on my way. Like when I travel to Denmark and I'm forced to having both my work laptop and my private laptop with me, then that's going to be annoying. But else, it's fine. Um, that's probably the main time I'll feel difference. Oh yeah, and the power charger adapter part is bigger and stuff like that. So I'm not too happy about that. But that's not why you buy it. And if it's working fine, I'll be absolutely okay. And yeah, it sounds crazy, but like when I travel to Denmark, when I meet and see my parents, I usually work when I'm there because obviously I don't have that many free days to just be a week gone once a month or once every 2 months. Um, so obviously I bring my work with me, which means that I'm traveling with two laptops. And trust me, I can tell you one thing for sure is that I so very much appreciate the new security checks they have at the airport. They have new security check system where you don't need to take out everything in your bag. Only need to take out liquids, for example, or something like that. I'm so happy because reality is just every time I get the old security checks and I have to take out my laptops, like I'll start by taking out my computer and the iPad and the other laptop. Like I'll just keep it pulling out of my backpack, and people like in the queue, like looking at me, being like, "Where the crack did you bring all this for?" So it just takes such a long time. So I'm so happy with those new super scans. It goes much quicker and it gives me a lot less stress. Turns out this corner to corner blanket I'm making will be 78 inches squared or about 198. So that is a nice, I would almost say it's a queen size bedspread. So that's definitely a nice sized blanket. This is definitely obviously a lot smaller because it's not turning into a blanket. Um, but I am actually still quite curious like, how far will this yarn get me compared to how much I have. Um, and there's no need to say that we need to go far a bit because this is what's going to be around my arm, and this is not even big enough to get around my wrist, right? But it's gotten bigger, so we still have a fair bit to go. So I'll just crack on. I do like it goes reasonably quick because I'm working with a 5 millimeter hook compared to me normally doing like a 3.5 or something like that for shorts. This is like pleasantly nice. And this yarn I could also easily match in to make a blanket from, size wise, like and feel wise. Definitely, I think it would be perfectly fine for a blanket. So maybe if I'll ever in the future end up deciding for some sort of mosaic blanket, I could consider this as an option. Um, but not currently in the market for that. I have so many things I'd like to do before then. Rev says he favors the 6 millimeter. You could probably do this yarn in a 6, but then it would be a bit more airy. I think this works up nicely in a 5. Um, and he and Rev won't go smaller than a 5. Yeah, it's just a matter of what you're used to as well, I guess. But Generally, I think I'm pretty okay with most. I generally don't exceed fives often. I'm more of a smaller hooker, I guess. It sounds crazy like this, but you get what I mean. Um, it's yeah, I think it's just more common for me to align with, I guess, I don't, yeah, with what you make more often. Um, but that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy this. It goes nice and smooth. And sometimes what I do like, I actually like to have more projects going, and then preferably also with different hook sizes, because that allows me to work with what I'm in the mood for. And one can definitely say I'm working with different hook sizes. Well, needle sizes would be more correct said, because I still have my cowl here. As you can see, it's not gotten very far, and it's a little bit bright, and it does curl a little bit, but I think it will curl less once it's a bit longer. Then I should be able to get it to curl less, or maybe with a wash. I'm not sure. It is superwash merino. What you can see here is the bottom end here. I have this a purl stitch. And the same goes. We have the what 8 rows or something like that. We have it the same sort of stitch up here, which is basically um, rib knit alternated for the rows. It does give a little bit of a feeling that it has um, swirls on it on that row, which is kind of nice. Um, and it goes really nice and smooth. And here I am using same size needles on both, which is the 4 millimeters. Actually, I should have used probably more like a 3.5 with this yarn. But I think, even though I think it still worked out pretty okay. So that I'm pretty pleased with. But that's still my on the go slash couch project. Definitely my couch project right now, because I don't like, as I said, I finished my hat last night. Well, it's upstairs, so I can't show it to you, but it's finished. You will see it in next Friday. So next week, Friday. The plan is I will be recording a yarn talk video before I am leaving, so that you have some content to watch next week while you craft. And yeah, so I'll have a yarn talk out, and of course, we'll also have a yarn haul and um, a sorting video as well. So there's quite a bit. And oh my goodness, a summary of my consumption for January is also something I need to get sorted. So I will be busy next week before I leave. Good morning, Lisa. Welcome back from Mexico, I should say. And yes, tummies, that would be such a nice thing if you did. Susan likes to use all sizes of hooks and yarns, but only make small items in crochet thread like coasters. Yeah, well, that takes a long time in the smaller threads. I do have some really thin yarns for crochet that I got as a part of a mystery box, which I'm not really sure yet what to make from it, but I'm sure I'll figure out something one day. It will be a really nice doily-like thing. And I am being complimented that the cowl looks good. Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. It does need more work for sure. Um, but I will likely bring it with me next week on the path, because this is too big of a project to bring with me unless I manage to finish before then, but I don't think so. But the plan is to bring um, um, the plan for me is to bring the cowl to work, one, because the cowl is work wise a lot easier to work with for me, and it's a lot smaller. Um, so it's a small project to bring with me, and I really don't think I will have a lot of time to craft that next week as well. I'll be completely honest. Um, there's a bunch of things. So Monday, obviously, it's the first Monday, or it's Monday plus it is the first working day in February I have, which means that generally for me it's extra busy at work. And that means that I definitely need to put effort in not crafting in work. Then, and I also need to install and learn some new stuff as well. And so that is a busy day work wise. And then in the evening, we have a team competition. My team will be from my club will be competing, and I am a part of that team, so I have to go to that. So that's basically my whole evening. Like, I get dinner and I'm off. And then I get home and I go straight to bed. Yay, Monday gone. Then Tuesday is me getting everything, like I need to work and then I need to get everything packed and sorted. And I'm almost debating if I need to ask if I can get an extra day off work just for lessening the stress, because Wednesday morning we are off and then I will be away until Sunday around noon, probably. So that is how next week is going to look. And it, as I said, it's a workcation. I am bringing my small business with me, um, and hopefully I will make some good business there. That would be nice to help pay for the expenses I just made. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like my plans for next week. So I will be fairly busy. If we are talking about dinner, what are you ladies? Have you already, ladies, gentlemen, have you already planned today's dinner? I have planned to make pancakes. It's been a while since I did that, and it's nice, easy, peasy, straightforward project. So it's not the American type; it's more like the French crêpe Suzette type, or in between. They are a bit thinner, the ones that we make, and I am debating if I should take an apple and slice it up and make apple slices in it. That is a very Dutch thingy to do, and I'm actually a bit tempted to see if I will succeed. They do go a bit thicker when you do it like that. Or yeah, that's my idea right now. Ryan hopes I do enough business to be worth the trip, but not so much that I'm stressed. Um, Regardless, it will be a good trip because I know a lot of people there. So there's also a social part of it, of course, um, that I will look forward to. So that's a good thing. Bremen is going to be making linguine with an Alfredo sauce. That doesn't sound bad at all. And Lisa says, don't know what's for dinner today. Don't have much in the house. Oh, yeah, because you just got home like what, yesterday? Susan didn't even eat breakfast yet. Then I can understand that dinner is not exactly on the top of your mind. I had lunch. I made an omelette filled with some leftover rice I had from a chicken curry. Um, so just to add some filling, I added the rice, and that was actually not bad at all. Susan asks if my partner engaged in my sport too. Well, Susan, that's how I met him. So yes, he does. That is how I ended up in the Netherlands. He does engage more as a volunteer to help organize competitions. Where and that's what he did when I met him, where I was an athlete competing. So we have a high understanding for one another when it goes around the sport. Um, he does not actively shoot as much as he used to. That does make me a bit sad. I wish he would um, do it more, but he has so many things he's doing, and I think it's just like he feels exhausted when we get to the, oh, now do you now have time? And he's like, yeah, well, now he's too tired or whatever. Um, or he has other things to do. So he's not good enough at taking the time to do something for himself. Um, he's a workaholic. Lisa says I got home at 11 p.m. last night, and now it's 7:30. Yeah, so that's also even a bit early to go raid the supermarket. I remember when I moved from my parents, like in my parents' place, it's really in the middle of fucking nowhere. You're screwed if you don't do your groceries when the store's open. And then when I moved from my parents' place to Aarhus, that was still before I moved here. Aarhus is a bigger city in Denmark with about 500,000 citizens. And when I moved there, I was just being like, "Oh my goodness, there are stores here," which is actually just like open. So like if I would come there with the last train at 10 in the evening or the ferry or whatever, I would be able to actually still go into the store and buy a fresh pint of milk and bring with me. So I at least had fresh milk. Which like for breakfast and stuff. So that was like super appreciative. Stores are generally also a bit longer open here in the Netherlands compared to Denmark, but definitely you can really feel if you're living more suburban compared to if you're living in the city. So we finished one more row. Yay! Let's flip it around and work the opposites. And as I said, I do the stacked doubles. So that's basically, or stacked double, two stacked single to create the double, because I think it gives a much nicer border edge. And that edge is um, going to be um, my sleeves. So I'd like it to be a bit clean. I had the feeling I had these sort of small bumps when I was following the pattern instruction. So I am happy that I did read through the pattern and did a good overview. So for the first time, you may be proud of me. Stina did actually read the full pattern before I just started. Hallelujah. That's impressive, right? I know. um, but just to get back, this is the etching we are talking about. So I think this is a nice etching. Nice and straight. I'm actually really pleased with my work. The same on the other side, of course. So I am super happy with this etch. I think I've done a good job. Also, don't forget to hydrate. If you haven't gotten drinks next to you, then don't forget to pick up some, because we are going to hang out for a bit and you should definitely remember to hydrate. Will check if my tea has cooled down, because I genuinely made it as I was preparing this stream. So this row is the opposite row. So this is the um, regular double crochet, two front post regular, two front post regular, two front post, etc., all the way across. Mm. Yeah, it's not too warm. It's just good. Mhm. Lisa says, I slept so good last night in my own bed again last night. The last place we were was a mattress on the concrete base. Oh my goodness, that sounds not something like my back would have appreciated at all. A friend of mine used to have a pretty hard bed as well. So, like, every time if I would stay over at her place, I would be like, would you mind if I sleep on the couch? Because that was better for my back than sleeping on her mattress. And she had issues if it got too soft. For me, it's just like, oh, it's too hard. And I would like, spin all night. Um, So that's also like many years ago, 15 years ago, probably, if not even longer almost. Time flies. But yeah, so he is a big support. My partner is a big support of my sport. He also goes with me to, like, if I'm away, like such as I do some team shooting competition in Germany. He drives with me and he stays there with me. Of course, the last two times we've had a hotel stay and I paid for that, so he wouldn't complain. Gets a bit away from home, but he still nicely goes along, so that's nice. And it's a great support. I wouldn't know what to do without him. Um, so we match really well together, I think. Um, The only thing he understands a bit less is maybe why I need so much yarn, which is true. I really don't need so much yarn. Like, so I definitely, next to the fact that I just bought yarn, of course, trying to buy even less yarn this year than I did last year. But looking at last year, I bought less yarn last year than I did in, let's say, 2024. And I bought less yarn in 2024 than I did in 2023. But 2023 and 2022 was definitely very much yarn obtaining years. And I saw they came with a new yarn from Pleta, and I'm like, yes, I need this. But also, I noticed they increased their rates for free shipping in Europe. And I'm like, I'm not going to buy for 200 euros of yarn just to get free shipping, not anytime soon. So I will just have to, pending, um, uh, finish up a bunch of my other makes before even considering that. It's with a sequence. It's a cut. It's called, I think it's called Cotton Princess, Princess Cotton. I was really tempted. I was really like looked really nice, but as I said, I'm not, based on the price for getting free shipping. I won't even consider it currently. It's not an option. Let's make this a year of making up the yarn versus buying it. Well, totally on that. My goal is definitely to make up more yarn than I purchased. Looking at 2025, um, I ended up thinking I had gotten a lot more than I used, but actually it wasn't that much of a difference. The increase was there, but it was very minor. That part I'm super proud about. Um, so that would be like, I think I should be able to really decrease this year. That's a realistic goal. Um, and I can also see, especially now because I'm slowly going through my yarns again, getting it sorted and so on, and added to Ravelry. I can see that um, I can sort some of the boxes and make more room in other boxes or better room and stack and store it differently. So it's kind of helping. Like, so it is improving some of it, definitely. Confession. I considered buying Back Day's mystery pack of Big Box Shan, but I restrained. Oh, yes. There are days where I'm wondering if I should also just, like, throw my yarn on Vinted or something like that. Vinted is a bit of like a reseller place here in Europe where you can resell things. I guess similar to Poshmarked or eBay. but it's specifically for clothing and textiles. So I have been debating if I should go that direction, but you can't sell everything there. Or if you do, you need specific permissions or blah 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 blah. So it's a little bit complicated. I would need to look deeper into it if I would go that direction. I'm trying to see if I can actually find this because I think we should just shortly have a look because I feel like just shortly look. Let's go find that new yarn because new princess cotton cake. So it has sequins. See, it has these small sequins in it. Gorgeous. It is 80% soft cotton, 15% viscose, 5% sequins. It's a 350-gram cake to 1,000 meters. So it's a pretty like heavy cake for it. Probably a combination of the sequins and the cotton. Therefore, my guesstimate, I think it says 3 to 4 millimeter if I'm looking there. Could we get some specs on it a bit further down? Let's see. Specifications. Yeah, 3 to 4 millimeter hook. The Stanley Princess cotton is our most refined yarn in both look and feel, created by love of discreet luxury. A 400-meter cake continues delicate soft cotton, is beautifully flowery gradients gently wrapped with viscose filaments, added strange pilling, anti-pilling performance, cool touch, supple charm, enriched with charming micro sequence with a crystal-like sparkle effect secretly integrated in the yarn structure. And then you get a little bit more light guidance. So this is gorgeous. And you can even get it like, see, you can get it in white. So if you are made to make, hint, Lisa, a bridal shawl or something like that, I think this could be a good yarn for it. Because, you can also get it in a solid white, or for that matter, in a solid black. They also have it with coffee beans. That's more like a brown color. I am not too keen on this, for example. Well, it's okay, but it's not really because of the white that's going through. But for example, this one I think is gorgeous for browns, right? This golden fall, it's named. That's gorgeous. Terracotta gold, it's also gorgeous. I think these colors are more nicely. Silver night fog, which is, yeah, definitely. And then they have sea dreams, which are more purples. Early in the morning vineyards. I don't know. I'm not too keen on this transition. This I'm definitely in for. Beaujolais Nouvelle, which is red colors with red sequins. Yes, please. Give it to me. Mykonos Night. I think this is a nice color too. Me want. Pink Cloudy Stars. This is nice pink, nice transitions. We have the frosted blue. Then they have the Aurora pink. That's also actually quite nice. This is no name apparently, but more like golden yellows, and that's all in stock. Maybe they have even more here because this is also like more like a cream white. So this is white, and that's cream white. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm sold. But I'm not gonna pay 200 euros to get yarns, so I'm not getting any because I'm not gonna pay for the shipping. I refuse, and I don't need it. And if I'm going to get yarns for 200 euros, well, my yarn consumption for this year needs to be insanely high because that will increase my stash for sure. Not exactly what I was looking to do. Revenant admits he bought yarn yesterday. I was out and my wife wanted to pop into Michael's to look for picture frames, and they had yarn. Buy two, get one for free, and I had a $5 voucher. I did limit myself to 6 skeins. Well, don't we always like these? You like if you buy two and get one free, that's 6 skeins, right? Like, hello, 33% discount. Plus another five on top. I nearly got out of the store with nothing, but they had big twist value up at the registers. Challenged, I get it. Lisa says I saw that yarn last night. I decided if I don't find yarn or I'm out of space in Spain, I'll order that for the bridal shawl. You will let us know when you're back from Spain what the end result is. I am sure. Um, I'm so keen to like get my hands on it, but I'm utterly refusing to pay for it at current. You can add beads or sequins to your existing yarn when crocheting it. Then you get the precise placement. True, true. It's more like, it's new, and anything new is nice, right? There are people who's getting the newest iPhone as simply as it gets on the market. Well, I probably wouldn't mind doing it, but I also don't because I'm trying to be less of a consumer. And when my phone is fine, I'm tending to like drive them until they die. It's the same with a computer. It's still alive, but it's getting to the point where it's really struggling and I need a new one. So, hint, hint, why I bought a new one. So I'm really looking forward to see how ready we are for next life with everything. I will need to spend a couple of hours at least this weekend to get it set up. Revis says, in my defense, I got 6 skeins at a picture frame for $18. That's actually a pretty good steal, isn't it? Nice. Congrats on that. The wife got her picture frame. Everybody happy? You got your yarns. Do you already have a plan for those yarns, or you just got them to fill up some spots in the stash? No plan per se. So, in other words, open for suggestions. Pretty yarns, yeah. They were warranted in the sense of it was a good deal. We can always find something to use, right? Like, let's find a project somewhere. So yeah, oh, and plus I did send me 10% voucher code as well. And I'm like, don't do this to me. I genuinely wanted to pick it up, that yarn. I genuinely wanted to do it. But like I've controlled myself. I've contained my desire. Um, there's definitely a few things that needs to get done first, and obtained first before we go that route. Revenant, I believe, is going to find us a picture. Mhm. Meanwhile, I am getting closer and closer towards the end here. So if the picture is being shared before I get to the end, I will crochet to the end and then we will look at it together. So what are you working on? If you are crafting right now while hanging out with me, what is your project currently? And I also definitely see we have a few people hanging out with us. Come in and say hello. I am working on the WaffleChic Shrug, which is basically, as a starting point, going to be one long piece of cloth. This is the wrong side. If I turn it like this, you can see it's the waffle stitch. This is just like looking funky, but this is definitely showing waffle stitch. Um, And I need to do quite a few rows before we get to folding and sewing and adding more. Um, this is my cake, but I can't really like have it in screen without it's in the way for me. So that's why it's outside of the screen. I caked up all the skeins. Not all the skeins, but I cake them up because then I can use the cake grinder. It's much easier for when I'm sitting here at the table for sure. I'm knitting on my laconic cowl, trying to get it off these needles. Oh yes, you mentioned that you had this project you needed to get off, so you could bring the needles with you, I believe. Because Spain is also around the corner. Bachi. But yeah, I could use a vacation. Honestly, I could. Um, but I'm not completely there yet where I could pick up one, I'm afraid. Oh, nice. Let me pop over this shared screen. Da, da, da. Oh, I need to allow. There we go. Ta-ta! They are nice colors. I really like that teal, but the orange falls really nice as well in these Dutch spheres, right? And the purple is also nice purple. They're really nice colors. I agree. That's a good pickup. That is definitely a good pickup. For sure. Oh, that's not a regular. I need here. I need a front post. Meanwhile, I did turn my work around. They are really nice colors for sure. Big Twist has fantastic colors. Oh yeah. It's like they're really nice and bright. Lisa says, Dina, you are in the EU, correct? Yes, I am in Europe, mainland Europe. And we are in the European Union too. Which means that basically we have a trade agreement with, for example, Spain. Why? I'm thinking this yarn thickness-wise might come around, let's say, like Lion brands, or what is it called? They're mandalas, maybe? I'm just going to check just for funsies to compare. I think at least they get close to one another. Or maybe the mandala is slightly bit thinner actually. Because they're like 150. Yeah, no, Mandala is thinner than this yarn. Hmm, I'm surprised. So Mandala gets closer to, let's say, Stylecraft Special DK. So then this is the an Aaron's weight. Karen Smith Thomas, good morning. Welcome to this live. Wonderful to meet you. I hope you're having a great day or a great morning at least. Um, Lisa says, what are the EU rules for knitting needles, crochet hooks for flying? Um, it is generally okay, but individual airports may have different opinions. Um, what one said is that if you have an active ongoing project on them, for example, if it's talking about knitting needles, so if I would be flying and have this set with me, that would be fine. Um, Sometimes people would say if you have the interchangeable needles, you just need to take them off and just put the end caps on. Um, I've flown before with crochet hook and yarn without an active project, but I had yarns with me in my carry-on and the crochet hook because I was like, I'm gonna crochet at the airport. That's okay too. Actually, I made a short on it last spring when I went back to Denmark for the first time since forever, and definitely the first time I brought a craft with me. And that was not a problem at all from Amsterdam to Copenhagen, but also Copenhagen, Amsterdam is not an issue. Both are EU countries. Nobody said anything on the matter. So I will expect you will be fine, but it can be that individual airports have um, different views. Um, I generally haven't heard of people having problems, but there is always the opportunity that somebody will have a different point of view. Uh, but in Copenhagen, it's not an issue having needles and yarn with you. Um, if you do consider wanting to bring scissors, there are limitations on that, and that's to do with the size of scissors. So what I then best can recommend you is if you have these small foldable scissors, this is within the approval size, where this I believe is too long. So this is what I normally would use, but if I travel, I will have this with me in the carry-on. That's not a problem. And that has to do with the length of the blade. And I would need to go check that. This is a nice foldable one, which I got, I believe, in a yarn haul from a company that was like a bonus gift. I can try to see if I can find that for, and I think that's national, international standard rule for what you're allowed to bring with you in the carry-on. So blah blah. Security and baggage rules. Yes, please. Please note, from September 24, liquids in your hand baggage may only be carried in containers holding a maximum of 100 milliliters. That's basically the same worldwide, I believe. And they have to be in a transparent, resealable 1 liter plastic bag. Medications and dietary supplements has to come with a doctor's certificate. Um, mm, 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 mm. If you come with anything blade wise, so if you want to carry a nail file, tweezers, or scissors, the blade may not extend a length of 6 centimeters. So if you have a scissor that's, let's say, having a blade of 7 centimeters, or 6.5 for that matter, you stand the risk that they will confiscate it and you don't have a scissor anymore. Um, So this is the ones for Schiphol, but it's pretty much the same across Europe, they're reasonably unilateral, with a few exceptions. There's always the special ones. So, but I think generally you should be fine. Just consider very hardly which scissors you're bringing, not too long scissors because you could get in trouble. But your crochet hook or knitting needles with an ongoing project on should probably be fine. Um, should slash would. Um, then well, we can come into how airports can be different. So I have lots of travel experience. um let's face it, in 2011 I went up and down in the air about 64 times, when I was competing, and that was like worldwide, Asia, Americas, Europe. Um and I think that was also in 2011. It was in 11 or 12, I don't remember. But I was traveling home from a competition in Milano. Milano is in Italy. Milan may be more familiar to you. Um, and I was traveling home from Milan, and as a sporting athlete, and in this case a rifle shooter, I of course had my rifle equipment with me, including my rifle. And I was traveling home on a Sunday evening, and because it was Sunday after, was it 6 in the evening or something like that, 5 or 6, the police on the other side of the check-in um, were not there anymore. So to get my rifle checked for check-in, because they basically, you would need to get that done by either customs or the police or somebody with authority to travel with it. Um, they weren't in the normal office on the like check-in side of the security. So he came to me, the police guy, and he said, like, please follow me. So I followed him. And then we came to the security gate. And he asked me literally to walk with him through the security gate with my rifle case in my hand. And we went on the other side through the security gate without me going through security. We just walked through with my rifle in my hand. We went to his office behind there, security gate. We checked the equipment case and he was happy. We closed down the rifle case. He would literally bring the rifle case um, to the flight, and he told me to go back outside on the other side of the security to take the security to get through. Which I'm like, normally the logic here would have been to me to go through the security and then, you know, that was fucking hilarious. So basically, I walked through the security with my rifle, and then when they had checked my rifle, they asked me to go back out through the security to go back in so I can actually go through the security check. That, I have to say, is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. The only country I've had issues with is Mexico. I even flew home this time with my yarn spindle in my carry-on, but security was preoccupied. My hubby forgot a bottle of water in his carry-on. Wow. Well, sometimes one can be lucky too. In Europe, if you have water bottles but no liquids in them, so if you have a water bottle carry-on, like a water bottle container, you can, at least in the Netherlands and also in Copenhagen, I believe, just take them with you as carry-on and then fill them inside the airports. Though you may have some limitedness as to where you can fill them, but theoretically, you could bring your own water bottle on the flight. But you can't bring water in it through security. You have to refill it before you board. Same here, but he forgot water in his. Okay. The liquid rules are just dumb. Yeah, to some extent they are, but I also understand why they have to be there. I did shock my cousin the other day when I was talking with her because I'm doing these crazy flights where I'm basically um, traveling and taking an extra flight, which I don't need to do, but I do it for the miles and for the bonus and for the free suitcase, which is basically a fortune. Like as long as I keep my status level for the frequent flyer, um, I will pay less bringing my suitcase checked in. It's free. Um, and we're literally talking 70 euros, which is currently about 75 maybe USD that I'll save every time I fly as long as I keep my status. And to keep my status and to quote unquote fly less, at least less days, I take these extra crazy flights because I pay the same for the ticket, or there's less than a euro price difference. And I take an extra leg with an extra flight over because that allows me to basically quote unquote flight less. Well, I take the same amount of flights, but I have less travel days um, to save those, what, 75 euros every time I go back and forth. Um, and then my cousin told me, Stine, the environmental chemist in me is not too happy about that. And I'm like, I totally agree, but as long as the price makes sense, when I don't pay more to do so, why wouldn't I do it? Because honestly, it saves me money long run. That's why I'm doing it. It's cheaper. She's taking the train these days rather than flying when she goes home to visit. She also lives abroad. She lives in Germany. Um, and as I said, she genuinely takes the train because it's cheaper. I was like, it's the same concept, right? Um, I do it to save money. It's not like I'm gonna do it indefinite, but it's saving me cash long term. So yeah, why wouldn't I do it? Most of the TSA era rules are a massive overreach. Yeah, like TSA locks is something very American. Um, so they will clip your lock if you don't have a TSA lock. And I'm like, you have nothing to do in my suitcase regardless, so fuck off. But yeah, some places are getting rid of the liquid rules. They have these super insane X-ray machines. We have one lane of security at my local airport that has one. Yeah, so that's my saying. Like, they have this. I think you joined the live a bit later, maybe because, as I said, they have these amazing new securities where I also don't need to take out my laptops, and I fly with two laptops every time I go to Denmark, which is sounds like an overkill because one is a work laptop and one my private, and I definitely need my private. Like I'm not gonna survive a week without. Well, I can survive a week without, but it's very impractical. Um, so I bring it all with me also because then I can, if I want to, do other things. Um, yeah, and that is a lot, and I'm really happy when I see those new ones because I'm like, yes, that means I don't need to pull anything out of my suitcase. Makes me really happy. And now I slowly know about where to find them. Except last time I ended up in the wrong lane. Bummer. I would take the train because trains are cool. Well, trains are cool, but Rev, the issue with taking the train for me is it takes twice as long and it costs the same. That said, I did check something else which actually does um, make the train prices a bit more reasonable, but still compared to the time it takes, I'll just, I'm fine with taking the plane. Benefits and disadvantages to all. Because taking the train also often incurs you. I need to do five transfers, five train transfers. Like, so if I take the train at, let's say, 8 or 9 in the morning, I'll be 9 in the evening, maybe at my parents' at best. And I still don't take the last stretch of a train, which is like 50 minutes, because my dad would be able to pick me up at the station where it connects to, and that he only needs to drive 25. But that's because that's a local train, which is like across the countryside, like needing to pass every damn city on the way. So that's why it takes so long. Um, and so with 5 changeovers and needing to wait, let's say 20 minutes at each station before the next train comes, I'm just not in the mood for that. It's just a lot of stopovers and changeovers and, luggage, and there's so much more convenience in flying. So I'll fly. She is coming at visit though. She is also a crafter herself, so that's nice. Um, Towards the end of February, she will be on visit for the weekend. Rev just doesn't care for flying. I wouldn't say if I care for flying or not. I have no issues flying. For me, flying is just like taking the car. And this I mean in the sense of it doesn't matter to me if I take a car, if I take a plane, I'll just, I can go to sleep or bus or train. But I'll feel much more comfortable sleeping in the flights than I will feel sleeping on the train, because at the train I'll forget, maybe like I'll sleep over and won't get out on time, and then I'll end at the wrong station. That would be my like ultimate fear. Um, but yeah, twice as long for the same price is just a bit too much, even for me. I do wish high speed rail was more of a thing. Yeah, we would definitely need more of that here. I think maybe some of it could go quicker once the the tunnel. So they are building a tunnel between Germany and Denmark right now, but it will first be ready in 2028. Maybe then it goes quicker because the train connection would be closer to Copenhagen. Um, but we are still either at a lot of times to change over, and the reason it takes so long is mainly also because if I need to change train, like let's say 5 times, and each changeover takes 20 minutes, that's 1.5 hours just spent waiting for your next transfer, given the train isn't delayed, of course. um then for me there is just more convenience in taking the flight, basically. Dun, dun, dun. We're almost on the next side. My goodness, I am productive today. I have to say it is slightly boring though, because it's the same color all the way through. Um, like at some stage, it's a little bit repetitious, and you're not like, oh my goodness, when is the color changing? Because I know it won't change. Um, so that's like the main downside, I guess, I see right now. Um, there we are. One more row done. Sweet. I'm going to compare this yarn maybe to the big twist actually, lengthwise, because I'm curious. Let's say like this and then multiplied by, it's 170 grams, because I see on the photo you sent, Reverend, that it does also comes in meters. Okay, this yarn is only slightly ever so thinner than the big twist. Compared to the big twist, this is for the same amount of grams or the same weight. It's 410 meters rather than 347. So it's only a slight bit thinner than the big twist. Fun fact. So I guess this is probably the closest we could come to a big twist. Do-do-do-do. Meanwhile, I should say, don't forget to hydrate. I realize I don't. I just chap along. I am, though, extremely good at yapping along. Mm-mm-mm. And then we are on the wrong side, which means I'll start with 2 double crochets where one of them is the stacked single. And then we are on 2 front to back, 2 front to back. Big twist is at the bottom end of worsted. It calls for 5. So this is probably also a thin worsted, I think. That's my estimate. It's just a smaller one because this is a 3.5 ounce cake. Like they come in 3.5 ounce skeins. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it's a thick DK or it's a thin worsted. Because I'm also doing a 5mm hook in this yarn. And I personally think it works up absolutely lovely. I think I should also see if I could find some time to go to my in-laws this weekend with my partner, since we won't be seeing them next week. Ryan Brand Mandala yarn, which I think you would love, is probably out the same that you're working with. No, it's not. It's thinner. It's thinner. I checked. I just did the math. It's thinner. I actually have not the exact mandala, but something I would say is more or less the same as mandala. It's a different yarn brand, but if I look at the colorways, I would call it mandala as well. It's made in Turkey. Um, I'd love to make a comparison, so I'd love actually to get some mandala yarns to compare it. Um, it would be. I have to go back on the Line Brand website. Um, that's actually one of the websites I can approach from outside the US. And unfortunately, it's gonna be an expensive purchase if I'll get some, but it's just between a DK and a worsted, I believe, this yarn. Um, but I have up in my stash um, two different color type skeins. One would probably be the one they called Spirit, and the other one called Mermaid. It just doesn't have a mandala label around it. And that yarn is ever so slightly thinner than this. And when I look at the specifics on the back side, because this is a 3.5 ounce skein, so you probably need 7 ounces of this to get the same yardage, more or less, give or take, a little bit more than 7 ounces to get the same, where they only take 5.3. So mandala is definitely thinner than this yarn. Lisa says mandalas are quite thin, DK. And then it could be that this is more like a DK. The Stylecraft Special DK I worked with for the Fleur is thinner than this yarn. I have a bunch of mandala yarn. I need to figure out what to do with them. Got them at Walmart when they went on clearance. We'll figure out something. Lisa says Cakes DK from Aishan is mandala yarn. I've used both and they are identical. Yeah, that's what I thought. I have some Cakes DK from Ice, as well as I have them from Papatia. I just don't remember what they call them from Papatia. Let's see if I can find them. Papatia is a Turkish yarn brand. And given that Aishan is also in Turkey, I'm very sure it's made also in the same factory. They just call them Papatia yarn cake. And they also 150 grams to 540 meters. And they are in more or less, not completely, but very close to a lot of the same colorways. Like they have lots of similar colors going through. But the yarn weights, etc., is the same. And they also have another, but that's a German brand. And I would say that's again very much same or similar yarn. I have a house coat made out of mandala and Hades. Ah, it's nice and soft and just heavy enough for most of the year. Okay. I'm thinking, you know, if one has a good idea of how much yarn is needed, one could most definitely make a color controlled project with it, like a color controlled poncho or something like that. That would be really nice, actually. Karen says, Thank you for the chat. I have a meeting to attend. Have a great day and good meeting. It was a pleasure to meet you. Hope I will see you around another time. Reverend says it was my first attempt at a hexicadi. Ended up adding around another foot of the bottom after taking this photo. Okay, give me a moment. Do-do-do-do-do. I will share with the rest. I just need, again, to get this and approved. Here we go. Yeah, I would say it's a bit on the shorter end for a cardi. So definitely I understand the need to add a little bit of length to it. Further than that, it looks nice. Lovely colors. I am some sucking up inspirations for future projects right now. But we are back to me needing to first finish off my planned projects of the year. That means this one. We have a vest also to make, where I do need to make a button also. That is something I'll do with resin. And then I'll need to crochet the whole vest. That is probably going to be the next smaller project of this. And then once I'm back home, so not this week, but and also not next week, but in 2 to 3 weeks' time, that's when I plan to start on the hat collectors. Then we can also switch a bit around. Like when this gets tedious, I don't know if I'll be done by then. I don't think so, but who knows? Maybe. Rev says I'm 6 feet tall, and it's lead length now. Yeah, that makes good sense. I would also like something a bit longer. I should get something a bit longer. This is just going to be a nice short one. It's a shrug after all. Oh, it's the back side. This is the front side. Look, we are definitely improving. But we have quite a bit to go. Quite a bit to go still. Meanwhile, this cake is definitely getting smaller. And of course, as you get closer and closer to the end of a cake like that on a spindle, it goes quicker and quicker. Do, do, do. Oh, I needed one more front post. I do need to keep track sometimes. I gave away a shawl and a Rona while I was gone. I wore both of them frequently, so now I have to add replacements to my make list. So there were a few lucky people in Mexico since you gave them away. The best thing is giving away crochet gifts when you know they are appreciated by whoever receives them. That's just nice when that happens. That's what we need more of. Both recipients were very appreciative. That's great. I like when people are actually aware of how long things sometimes can take to make, and that they therefore appreciate it more because they know the amount of work labor, so to say, has been put into making it. Mm-mm-mm. I also made a baby blanket for my godson in Mexico, so that got gifted as well. Ah, yeah. What pattern did you use for that blanket, or was it just like a plain corner to corner or granny, or did you use a specific pattern for it? I think this is also a nice size, by the way, if one would want to make a blanket, but it would take freaking ever to crochet. I would definitely need something else like in between. Blankets is not my forte. Um, I can make them, but wouldn't necessarily say I get bored because I managed to do fur without being bored. It just takes long, and that takes patience, and it gets big to sit with, which I do to some extent have a fear will be the same for the hot collectors, by the way, because it's gonna be like 3 big cakes. Yikes! Which I still need to, by the way, cake differently. Somebody suggested me to like work all 3 cakes in at the same time. I'm not really sure how I'll do that because, yeah, I could probably work 2 of the ends similar, like take them from. I could not. I wouldn't necessarily need to cut them up. I could just because I will work them from the outside, so I could just take them one by one and just add them as I go. That would probably be all right, actually. And in that event, I'm also very heavily debating on um, to what extent I should be color controlling the changes. Like if I should only do that at the start of the row, because with the amount of yarn I have, that should technically also be possible without too much of a hassle. I used the pattern Do That by Hooked on Sunshine. I used cotton bamboo blend from Afrique yarn. Okay. Yeah, Hooked on Sunshine definitely has a few nice patterns I would be keen on trying out at some stage. I've seen some really, really nice blankets. Amanda from Scraptastic Crochet also makes quite a lot of her makes. You sent me a pic, so I need to find my email. Do, 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 do. Oh, that's gorgeous. Of course, I can't just say that without sharing, so give me a moment, people. Please be patient. Told you to thingy that's slow. There you go. Isn't this gorgeous? I should zoom in a little bit because it's possible like this. Wow. Gorgeous. How big is this approximately? A meter, 1.5 by 1.5 meters or so? That is a really nice result. I definitely like how that turned out. Agreed, Susan. This is beautiful, Lisa. Anyone not being happy to receive this should have a spanking. It's gorgeous. Freaking gorgeous. It's about that size. Okay, cool. It is really, 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 really gorgeous. Wow. Most definitely. Wow. Mhm. You are very welcome. You're very welcome. Compliments are always rewarded and gifted and granted for people who makes lovely things. There was one more row. One more row. Which means we'll turn around. Yep. Mhm. Oops. And then we'll again start with the 2 stacked singles. The pattern is beautiful, but rather easy to follow and quick to work up. Just a lot of ends to deal with because I did the color changes. Yeah, I can imagine that. But we don't mind sewing in ends if it becomes beautiful. If the end result is worth it, sewing in ends are worth it. That's how I view it. if that makes any sense. Mm. Anything that becomes beautiful is always worth it. This one definitely looked gorgeous. Lovely colors. Love the different shades of blue. This is actually a nice one. So I'm listening to a song, or I'm listening to. I'm surprised. I thought this was still, but it's not. And of course, it's not. Um, I'm listening to. I was listening to two cellos on Spotify, and then I'm suddenly being like, "But this isn't by them." Well, none of the songs technically are by them because they all do covers, but play cello only. But this is a dance monkey, but it's played on the piano, and I'm like, "That's not them," and it's not. So it kind of popped over to a different group. But I do appreciate it still because there's no music. It's just the audio from it, and I genuinely just a good piano or a good cello or something like that just in the background is nice. But with the somewhat more modern songs, I definitely think that I will have this game used up before the end of the month. Look, it's skinnying out. Could I finish this before this end of the stream? Depends on my hands because I can feel that they are to some extent getting a bit tired of the movement. But look, I almost don't have a yarn finger here because this yarn is softer than, for example, that recycled cotton. The recycled cotton is really rough on my hands. Mm. And I still fully haven't decided what I'm going to do with that bag. I might actually option to give it to my friend as in return appreciation because um, she does a pedicure. That's her profession. And she said, "Oh, you can just come by. I'll do it for free for you." I'm like, that feels weird. So maybe I should bring that with me as a gift. I'll still need to make an appointment for that at some stage, but it's definitely first going to be after next week because time. But I'd love to do that at some stage to pop by her place and say, "Hey, that would be really nice." So that could be a really good idea for the bag. Or I can gift it away for my podiversary. But I also have a few other bags in that sense in my stash. So there are options. Mhm. Yeah. I don't know if I'll make it today. It's not impossible actually, because it's like roughly like an hour, bit more than an hour. But yeah, there's just also a German brand that's similar to, or probably the same as, mandalas. So maybe I should start thinking about possible designs in that yarn, because that's also accessible to people in the US. Though it's too thin for Rev, because that's probably more like a 4.5 millimeter. Rev, would you consider a 4.5 millimeter for a project if it was like tempting enough? Would you consider that, or would you be like, no way, hell no, not happening, too tiny for my hands? I don't know. I might try it. Okay, good to know. If we find the right project, if we figure out the right project for it. Mhm. Mm. Crackety crackety crack. And here we progress on and on and on. So for skeins like the big twist, so pull skeins technically, pull skeins, will you do center pulls, or will you just remove the full band label and just do the regular around? Like, would you center pull, or would you actually still remove the label and do it from the outside? How are you, your approach? I'm just talking in general. Anyone, would you do center pulls, or would you do the outside pull regardless from a pull skein? Rev does center pulls. Okay, because I have some skeins upstairs. Some of these and they are pull skeins. Some of my mill ends from ice, right? And I am going to double strand them and stuff for knitting. And I was debating if I should just do the pull skein one version of them, or maybe I should actually. Um, Alternative is to cake them up. But I didn't with the last two. I just did the pull skeins, but not as a pull skein. I actually took them from the outside, but I realized afterwards that they are actually pull skeins. But I was too deep in when that came. Um, the last I did, I the last of those skeins I did combine both from the outside and as a pull skein, because of um I was needing to work from both ends to have enough yarn to finish up the project. Unless the center pull turns into a mess, then I cake them. Lisa would cake it. Choices, choices, huh? With the current yarn I'm working with, doing center pull ends up being a mess at the end of the skein, so I'd rather untangle 100 yards of knots. So rather than untangling 100 yards of knots, I cake them before adding them on. That makes good sense. So that's my template for the caking part. I would not need to untangle them. Center pull on 100 gram skeins and smaller, the large 1 pounders from the outside only, as they don't center pull, or they don't center pull nicely by the sound of it. Okay. Well, so this is definitely a less than 100 gram. I think they're maximum 100 grams each, those skeins. I just need to figure out if I'll do one or the other. Um, if I want to kick them up or if I just want to cast them on and get started. Undecided, but I might just leave them hanging for also until I get home next week, because I will bring my cowl with me, because I know for sure I won't have much time, and that's a project that's easy to bring with me also if I have a little time. This project is it takes too much effort to bring with me. So I'd rather bring the smaller one. And I probably won't have time to do hats. Well, hats is also an easy small project, but I think this is a nice small project for in the car. So then I'd leave the hat project at home. It could be I could cast on this weekend, because it could also be that I get, like, I don't know. Yes, Saturday we do have something on telly, so I need something Saturday. But I can also do the cowl by then, because the cowl is still one of these projects I want to get finished, so I can't just like only do it in the car. Yeah. Choices, huh? Lisa says, I have a 10-ounce winder. I cake everything. I have the one I have is definitely not more than a 3.5-ounce winder, because like the cake I just make with these, this is about the same size as the Style Crush Specialty K I used for Fleur. And this is pretty much like the max I can do on that. So I could use a bigger cake winder. I'd love that. Open for suggestions on cake winders for bigger cake winders if I need. That would be nice. That could be for my wish list. I'm working on a Russ hat in the worsted weight yarn, green striped acrylic Sundan Sweets I got in a mystery box. Okay. That sounds nice. I also got some hand colored worsted weight yarns that I want to knit up at some stage. But they are not my primary goal. Maybe in the autumn. Because we will get to a point where the Heart Collectors will be the last project that I am working on, because all of the other projects are finished. We have finished 1 of 5. We are working on 2 more, which means that we have 2 left that's not started of this advent calendar we did right in December. And the other one that's smaller is definitely going to be shorter take to make than this. And then we have the Heart Collectors, which is probably going to be like, I don't know, half-year project, depending on if I work on it daily or what I do. It is, once we really get going, something that I can easily also bring with me to the couch should I want to do that and not be in a knitting mode. So that's good. It is, once we get to that point, not so much as Freya was requiring me to have notes in front of me and a table to sit with and stuff like that. Da-da. That was this end. Look. We're still making a reasonably, I would say, just gonna turn it this way around because of how it goes. But I'll say this edge is pretty okay. Hmm? This is how the whole piece is looking currently. Need to give it a little bit of a stretch for the stitches. A little bit of a stretch, not much. Look, it's almost the length of my hand. But still, if we sew this one together to put my arm through, that's not going to happen anytime soon. You can cover 3 of my fingers comfortably. Lisa says I have a LAMXD high-speed 10-ounce winder from Amazon. It's essentially a Stanwood dupe. I got it on a Black Friday deal a couple of years ago. Okay. Yeah, I've seen the Stanwood winders and I've been debating on them, but I've not gotten that far to actually make the order because I've not desperately needed it. Because obviously I have um, my my small winder, which is usually mostly when I need to wind the smaller cakes, because generally cakes come in small sizes here in Europe. Um, let's see. We need to do 2 regulars, front posts, 2, then regular front post, 2 front post, regular 1. Yep. Da-da-da-dum. So we are working on the back side, this row, across. We all like Black Friday deals. So when I was getting needles this year, I thought, yes, Black Friday, great deals. Um, but they all went up in price. So make sure you know your price and not just buy it because it's a Black Friday quote unquote deal. Make sure you know the price of what you're buying and not just buy it because they say deal. Because very often you see this opposite marketing. It's a deal. They are $10 more, but it's a deal because look, the original price might normally be 50% more. Yep. Nope. I can get a full Stanley muffin on it. Don't ask me why I know that. Yeah, well, probably because you caked it opposite once. Um, I can. Would you then put the full Stanley muffin on this spindle and then cake it up, like to recake it? I am curious. I am curious. Do not ask me why I'm curious. I had a project half worked up that I forgot. Ah, right. Yeah. Half worked up from a full cake. That's a lot of frocking. Oh, that's painful. Unless, of course, that you much more like the new project you ended up making. There's always an if or a but or right. Mm, 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 mm. It turned into my lapsang shawl. A whole muffin? because I'd say crickets. It's 2,000 meters. I still have projects I need to make. Also from Red Teapot Atelier Designs. She's designing a new one currently. That looks gorgeous. Almost a whole muffin, less than one color left. Boom. That's pretty big. I feel like making new shawls. It's huge. Yeah, well, I can remember, or will can remember, I can imagine. It sounds huge. A whole muffin into a shawl. It's a lot of yarn. Probably even I made a poncho with it. I understand. So Lisa says it's huge, but I love it. Yeah. Well, I imagine it's nice and like it's almost like a blanket, right? Like in the sense of you can really wrap yourself into it. Well, I am starting to get more and more convinced that we'll actually end up finishing up this one today. Let's see if can I like park it here and see if that would work? Could work. Let's try. See if I find it in my way or not. But I have a feeling, my friends, that I'll have one more skein done and dusted for January. Uh-huh. Which is really nice on my consumption part. January has been a good month to me on the yarn consumption. February will be rather the opposite because I bought yarn. And from a practical point of perspective, because I first show the yarn haul, that is also when I first add it to my lists. Um, Lisa says exactly. I often wear the large, so the large lapsang shawl instead of a jacket. I can imagine that. Yeah, that's yep. You can really shrug yourself into it. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, yeah. It's close to the. Is it in my way? Isn't it my way? Don't you worry. You won't be alone in February with all the yarn purchases. That's true. Well, my February ad is the one I bought in January. So just to be fair, technically I don't intend to buy yarns in February, but it's ending up on my February overview because of that is when my yarn haul video is posted. Technically, it was bought in January. It's already in my stash. Video on Monday. Susan says using self-striping yarn makes me knit faster or more because I'm anxious for color changes. Yeah, this don't change color. This just stays blue. It is a gorgeous blue though. But yes, it just stays blue. It just stays blue. I am curious on something. Probably would work. Should I get there? I have ideas, more ideas. Oh my goodness. So that's the problem. And it's the same problem I always encounter. My ideas on making new projects is way quicker. Like I imagine how it looks and how to get there and everything. But that happens in like boom, idea. But the actual making of them takes forever. And that's also one of the reasons I have so much yarn. I have plenty of ideas. And of course I didn't write all of those ideas down. So wow. Wow. But as you can see, we are definitely getting a lot less yarn. There's very little left here. I think we are definitely having this one used today. I was very good in Mexico though. The only yarn related things I bought was a supported spindle for spinning yarn that was handcrafted for me by an artisan. Oh, that's awesome though. That sounds like a really nice both souvenir but a useful crafty souvenir. When back in the days I were in South Korea, I ensured I bought myself Korean chopsticks to bring with me back home instead of just those you often buy in the stores because it sort of gives you more sentiment. And crochet tote bag made by an inmate in the federal prison. Okay. So Susan has a valid question. How are yarn prices in Mexico? I do believe that Lisa has shared us some of those before. Um, as well as some of the yarns there, and that looked really awesome. Lisa says, "Oh, not great unless you buy cotton that's made by a Mexican company, but it's mostly mercerized." Okay. I guess they are also having import tax and stuffs, and the further away things come from, the more expensive they get because, well, transportation costs, right? Du-du-du. If imported from China, I guess it came. I guess same as in the United States. Yeah, probably. Most yarn that's available is either Premier or Banat. Okay. And then maybe it's even imported from China to the US and then from US exported to Mexico. Then I'd imagine it's expensive. They don't have indie dyers like US and Canada. Okay. Well, at some stage, it would be really cool dyeing your own yarn. I know my aunt did some sun dyeing of yarn, but that's also like a patience project. And it looked insanely cool. And it sounds insanely cool, but it requires space and patience, and I have neither. Mainly the latter. I also don't have space actually, because obviously half my house is yarn. Well, not maybe half, but it feels like it. If I would empty my one of my rooms for everything, I could probably have it all in there and nicely showed and displayed, but I can't do that because then I have no guest room. But I should actually clean that one up, which is something I would need to do in any case because as I said my cousin is coming to stay with me in a month or so for a few days, and she needs a place to sleep. And right now my guest bed is just stacked up things, craft related things are just standing there right now. One more row complete. Yay. Then we'll flip the work so we can work on the front side because as you can see, front side is more waffly waffly. This is about one cake, by the way. That's the first cake I'm adding. So what we could do for funsies, where is the here? How wide is it? We are at 5.75 inches. So almost 6. And it needs to be at least 3 times more. So at least 3 more cakes, I would say, go on the main part of it. Du-du-du-du. But I don't really spend time in the urban tourist areas. There may be other stuff available out there. Yeah, I get that. I understand supplies for Indian dyeing is expensive, so I get it. Yeah, also. Guess that's also why they are expensive to procure, right? But it is pretty cool though. That's also like this part of me being like, oh, if I had the room, maybe I would actually actively pursue trying. But I don't have the room. Because the thing is, once you have dyed it, the yarn needs to dry and all that stuff. And that is the spacious part. And then the amount I could make a time based on the amount of space I have is I don't think it's worth the time and effort you would put into it. You would end up needing to be able to do it on a bit of bigger scale. Um, I would maybe be able to do, let's say, one or two hangs at a time, um, which is fine, I think, for personal use. Um, but from a future perspective, if one would say I would want to do it with the purpose of reselling, that wouldn't happen. Where I go is more improvised rural areas of the country, but then you also get to see the special things, right? You get to really, um, yeah, experience a complete different side. And that's the downside part of the tourist bits, right? We just get to see what people want you to see. You don't get to see the real cultural experiences. But also, same as like if people visit me and people would be like, okay, what are we going to visit? And I would be like, I don't know. But that's because when you are close to things in your own area, you end up taking things a bit more for granted because it's there. It's always been there. Lisa says one of the villages we were in 2 years ago was the first time that there were Caucasian people in the village, and one lady cried because she saw a blonde haired, blue eyed man with her own eyes. Wow. That felt a bit like, so as I said, back in 2011, during the qualification period for the London Olympic Games, I was at a World Cup in Changwon in South Korea. And Changwon is a city that is, I do believe it has a Kia factory from the Kia cars. But it's a bigger city, but they don't have tourists. It's not a touristic city. It's more like a business city in the sense of industry. And we came there a few days early, so we had a chance to handle the jet lag. So we had 2 days, I think, at best, 1 or 2 days of sightseeing just to like get grounded. And we went to a small city at like 20 minutes drive away from Shangwon. Um, and in this city, they had the cherry blossom festival because it was in April. It's similar to when you see cherry blossoms from Japan. Absolutely beautiful. And we went to a place like on a mountainside with a bit of a sort of a garden thingy. And Koreans literally came to us asking us if they were allowed to take our photograph because I'm blonde. And one of my teammates were red haired, just to make it better, and the other was brown haired. But we were all Caucasians and definitely anything but the natural straight picture. So people want our photographs because we were us, because we weren't wearing our tracksuits. We were just having normal clothes on as if we were tourists. We were there incognito, and yet they wanted photos of us as we were famous people, which we were not, but because we were in an anything but touristical area. Du-du-du-du-du. Anyhow, still cracking along here, and that yarn is getting smaller and smaller. So I feel we are indeed closing up on the once gained more used in January. Definitely what one could consider a motivating factor. Do. I do notice that I moved a bit back actually, so I could move you guys a bit closer. Hello, Babs Crochet Den. Welcome to this live. She's saying, I love the colors you're using. I'm currently making a waffle stitch scarf using the red heart stripe snare, and waffle stitch is one of my favorites. I have to say, this is the first time I'm actually personally using the waffle stitch. It goes pretty nice. It is this absolutely freaking gorgeous royal blue. No color changes though. It's just gonna be this, and it will turn into a nice shrug once I'm done. But it's just one big rectangle, and I need to do another about definitely this much 2 times more. So it is very much just cranking on. So, Bob, if you haven't been here around before, I would say in the corner you can find the tea and the coffees and some biscuits. Feel free to take, sit down, bring your crafts, and enjoy the conversation. We talk a bit about everything and anything, literally. Mostly crafty and yarn, but also other stuffs. And what is other stuffs? Other stuffs could be life experiences, such as we just talked about Korea or my past. Anyhow, I am very much hoping that we will finish up this cake because, as I said, my goal is to decrease my stash. And I am keeping track, nicely track, of yarns consumed. I am doing my very best. Du-du-du-du-du-du. And I feel reasonably confident right now that we'll make it, but I think my hands also then say that they need a break. um, du-du-du-du. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum. We are tinying it down. This one, yarn wise, I believe what I really should do is prep it. Oh no. Yeah, well, technically. Did I use a similar last year? I didn't. I believe they're 241. I'm going to, because I don't have the label next to me. They're 3.5 ounce skeins to, I do believe it's 241 meters. So it's like around 260-ish, a bit more than 260 shots. Do-do-do-do-do. Okay, this was really, really bad. I just got on the website of this, like, this is like really a value acrylic, and they are like 3 plus 1 free. You can combine any yarn you want. I'm like, no. I'll need to go to the store to get that because a lot of them aren't available online. But that's nice. They only have like 2 or 3 available, but that's because, of course, it's a great deal right now. I figured 241 meters. Okay, so what would that be? Just for funsies, because this is actually as good as done. So let's put in the math because I want to know. But my goodness, don't buy yarn, don't buy yarn, don't buy yarn. This yarn does not come in. Normally, very rarely it will be discounted, right? Okay, so it is a 3.5 ounce skein. So that would be this yarn. This is caked up. It's a 3.5 ounce skein, and that is a 263. No, yeah, 63 yards. So 3.5 ounces to 263 yards, or 100 grams to 241 meters per cake. I know. Susan says, "Oh no!" And they are really good priced. Um, because they're like less than $1.50 per skein. Isn't that crazy? Like that yarn can be that cheap. I struggle to fathom, to grasp it's even possible. I don't have room for it. But I don't need it either. And it's a great price, but honestly, reality is also that it's so cheap, even if it's not on sale and I would need it, I wouldn't be broke getting it either. Because, well, it's a favorable, it's a really a value yarn in the sense of, but it's still pretty soft from a value yarn. And I understand from a lot of users of this is actually the first time I'm really working in it. But it should also be reasonably low pill for a value acrylic. Um, so basically, I need to make some more giveaways with this acrylic if they open back up for shipping to the US, which probably would be fine because that would be a gift. Hmm. Susan is very kind to me saying, "Shop your stash. The yarn factory will make more." They will. I'm sure they will. I don't, and we do know for a fact I do not need this. So okay, now we are so like where it kind of starts to untangle from the center as well. There's so little left. We are just gonna take it out as a ball. Barb says she's currently destashing, but I found the unicorn, main mermaid, and fairy tale colored at Janspirations. I bought all 3 colors to make blankets for the kids. I really need to crochet faster. So that's the issue I have. I need to crochet faster too, because evidently I don't crochet as fast as I buy yarn. Because else my stash wouldn't have gone so out of hand. And that is the goal. And I still believe that I can um, decrease my stash actively this year. Um, I genuinely believe that is a possibility. iShans is the cheapest, but you have to buy in bulk to justify shipping costs. That's the thing. Um, in my case, and I wouldn't be surprised if this yarn is also made by ice. Probably similar to Favorite or something like that. Um, it price wise, this comes around the prices from ice. But if I buy the ice yarns, I will have to pay shipping and I will have to pay import fees because here in the Netherlands they will be looking at them and saying, "Oh, that is not from a EU country. You get to pay import costs," which is basically the yarn's price multiplied by 21% and whatever fixed fee on top. Um, that's called valued at taxes, import taxes. We also, because I didn't pay a company in the Netherlands and valued at taxes, I would be forced to do it like that. Then, of course, we can argue that I can partially probably put that on a company as long as I can prove it and make money on it, and then I can deduct that again. But yeah, um, on average, the yarns for me once imported to Europe is double the price as listed on ICE's website with my import costs. Oh no, the yarn wanted to go on the floor. And one of my hairs is here, very long one. So that has to be mine. um, so yeah, ice is cheaper. Ice has some really nice yarns. I also get ice yarns from ice. I have yarns from ice. But I haven't bought directly from ice for the past year and a half, because I have so much yarn I need to use already that I don't necessarily need to buy more right now, if that makes sense. Some stage I'll probably need to revisit and buy, but currently I don't need that. So looking at import costs and everything, this yarn is definitely cheaper than ice. And that's even if bought in bulk. Mhm. But it's still nice. It is still very nice. You do get have a better color choice selection than on the web. That they may show you a lot of colors on the website, but your color choice selection is usually better in the stores, in the physical stores they have. It's a store that sells a bit of everything, so it's a bit like a Dollar Tree store concept in the sense of it's a very value store, but they also sell clothing. Um, Stylecraft made in Turkey or China? Turkey. It's a Turkish yarn. At least a Stylecraft Specialty Cape, because Stylecraft is a brand like Hobby, and Hobby also have yarns made both in India and China and Turkey or Italy even also as well. Um, but the yarns I particularly used for the Fleur blanket, which is a Stylecraft Specialty K, that's made in Turkey. But this yarn is also made in Turkey, the one I'm currently working with. But it's more cheaper than Stylecraft Specialty K. I can get 2.5 skeins of this for 2 skeins and a bit of this as I can for a Stylecraft Special DK. It's also a little bit thicker, of course. So that's why I'm saying this is a thick DK slash thin Aran. Not Aran, worsted, sorry. Um, So while I have done immensely good progress on my yarn usage this month, I still cannot catch up with Rev because he's a monster cranking out these projects. Um, there are two things to say. Point one, it's not a competition. Point two, the thicker yarns you work with, the more you generally tend to use for the same time you work, assuming you crochet equally fast, because thicker yarns just work up quicker and gets quicker used, opposed to thinner yarns, they take a bit longer. So this is maybe also why I feel this one goes quick, because it is, in my optics, some of the thicker yarns I'm using, without it being even that thick, because it's not. Oh, no, 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 no. The yarn disappeared under my computer. But as I said, I have really not much left here, and it's getting really like squishy. Um, Bob's asking, what is the most challenging project you have made? I'm asking because I'm making a graph blanket California king size, and I'm at the point where it seems to taking forever and it's aggravating me. Fleur, Fleur, definitely Fleur. If we look at the time spent before it was done, so like the biggest project I've ever made is Fleur. If you guys hang on for just a minute, I will be happy to pick it up and show. But hang on, because it's over at the couch, and I need to watch out that I'm also carrying half my chair with me. It's not that long ago that I finished this one. I finished this one at the start of January. I do actually have a short I need to post. I will just pop this one up for you guys to easier view. This barb would probably have been my most intricate project and time-wise that I've done to date. This is Fleur. And color-wise, you can't see it as good on this cam as they are in reality. We will need to get a bit closer for you to see those. Look. It's just because of how the lighting is in this room. And this is about bit more than 1.5 meters wide, 1.6 maybe, because this is almost my arms fully stretched. Like, if I'll show the back side. And it's equally wide and high, etc. I do believe you calculated here is about 60 some odd thousand stitches, 64 or something, like 62 or 64 something thousand stitches. Absolutely gorgeous blanket, and I had to prioritize it because it took me 2 years, literally 2 years, and a week. So I had to choose to prioritize my time working on it. Being like, anytime I have the opportunity to work on it, I will do so. But I've had other projects, like other blankets, which may be more straightforward. But if you tell yourself you have to work on it, let's say half an hour or an hour a day on the days where you have that time, and then once you have done your half an hour, then or an hour or whatever, you're allowed to do something else, because that can also help motivation a bit. I had a scarf I once made, or sort of a shawl scarf, probably because it's a rectangle long one, and it took forever to crochet because it was really thin yarn. I was using a 3mm crochet hook. I told myself I had to do 3 rows a day, basically. Anything else extra was good, but minimum 3 a day before I was allowed to crochet on anything else. So that's what I did, and that's how I ended up finishing it. It took a bit longer, but so there are different ways to do it. Like find something that will motivate you um, to get there. For me, I just had a goal. I didn't want to spend more than 2 years on the blanket. I did lots of projects, different projects as well, next to Fleur, of course, on the side, which is one of the reasons it took so long. Um, but I think, um, in hindsight, um, you know, yeah, I just wanted to get it done. Yeah, still very happy I did it. Lisa says my yarn usage will probably be less this year than last with the knit projects I want to make. Yeah, it takes a bit longer to use yarn when you knit, doesn't it? Or it depends, I guess, because Susan is double stranding those thread knit beanies, and I started to do similar things. And I still have some yarns where I'm like, yeah, that can easily make that out of them, um, because it's now some of them are leftovers and some of them are just yarns I don't know what to use with. I had gotten this random Midland yarns from Ice. Where I still have some skeins left that I am going to double stranding also for written at beanies. Um, because like goes a bit faster, they're getting a bit thicker, and yeah. 100 grams, 306 yards, 280 meters. Yes. So probably similar to Premier Basics DK. $2.99 for 100 grams, regular price. It can be purchased for less in multi-pack sometimes. Yeah, I think the Basics DK is slightly thinner than this because that is 100 grams to 240 meters. So I think the Premier Basics DK will fall exactly in between this yarn and the Big Twist, size-wise. So if you compare the size of the Premier Basics DK to the Big Twist, that thickness difference, you probably need to like degree, like once more down, so to say, and you would have the yarn I'm currently using. Um, I don't know if we can see more specs on the side of of themselves, but usually they're very basic, being like acrylic, 100 grams, 241 meters, and let's see if they actually give us a bit more specifics. Yeah, I know you guys on sale, and I would love it, but I can't. I don't have room. Da, 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 da. It is don't iron, can be dry cleaned, don't put in the dryer, don't bleach, wash on 30 degrees, which is 85 degrees Fahrenheit, but on anti-wrinkle program, so like easy wash. That's like the only thing it gives us. And then there's the photos, of course, of the if you're lucky enough, you have the backside photo here. And here it says knitting needles 4 to 5 millimeter, crochet hook 5 to 6, but it doesn't give a further size-wise indication at all. That's it. Made in Turkey. So I don't know. What do you think? I'm using a 5 for my project, which I think it would be a lot more airy if um, if I went and did a 6. I'm using a 5 millimeter for this right now. And I think that's pretty nice, to be honest. Du-du-du-du. Lisa says, my most challenging project was my Pai Mutan tea blanket. Took about 400 hours, 3 cakes of light fingering weight yarn. That is also a crazy project, right? That's going to be my hat collector's project this year. I think that's definitely going to be the biggest project I'll make this year. Big Twist is named worsted, I believe. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. This is DK, probably a thicker DK to worsted, because DK I would classify more as a 4 to 5 millimeter hooks. So this is like a thick DK, maybe. Wrap test on Big Twist, put it right off, cut off for worsted, so it's a DK or cut off from worsted to Aran. And that is all yarns that I cannot access so easy. So we'll only know what you guys tell me. It's every time when I get a chance to have different yarns in my hands, I'm like, yay! But not all of them are easy to obtain here. It's just at the worst at any thinner, and it would be a thick DK. This is a thick DK, definitive then. If that's gonna be how we classify it, because this is definitely thinner than the Big Twist, and just a little bit thinner than the basics from Premier Yarns. But it's only half the price of the Premier Yarn basics. It would be a great yarn for your use, as it's not a bulky worsted. Yeah, probably. So far it's going fine. As I said, definitely enjoying to work with this yarn. And I love the color. The downside of this yarn is that you can't keep buying, like, this color I probably won't be able to get anymore. Like, once a color is sold out, it's sold out. So they get one big batch home, divided through all the stores. Once sold out, it's gone. Like, but I'm sure the import cost would be well more than it's worth doing. This for importing to the US, definitely. Unless, of course, I'll send it as a free gift to you guys, but the cost of shipping is crazy. Um, I'll have to see when Podiversary comes up this year and how my scheduling are. It could be fun actually to do a live celebration again. Susan says, I enjoy this technical yarn talk. It's good to know when you're trying to match pattern to yarn quantities. Absolutely. I enjoy finding supplements too, because reality is that I can have plenty of ideas, but it needs to be able to supplement in a possible alternate yarn. If, for example, I am trying to make a design which is also accessible for the US, then people need to have um, the opportunity to get a yarn in the right weight, right? What brand is your budget price, DK? Rico? This? It's just called Zeeman Royal, which is store named, and then it's called Royal, which is doesn't sound very budget alike, but it is. Another store has exact same yarn, yardage, weight, different colors, and they have with their store named, and then it's called Saskia rather than Royal. That's the difference. They are intercomparable 100%. So let's say if I would buy this lovely blue, then I couldn't find a decent, let's say, teal to combine it with, but the other store would have it. I could combine them because they're exact same weight, thickness, make, everything. And I am a 99% sure that it is a yarn from like similar. You also have them at Ice. It's similar to, let's say, Favorite or something like that. I would have to go check Ice's website out to give you a more clear confirmation on it. But I am not sure if we will reach that today. What I'm gonna do is I am either gonna finish up this skein or finish this row, whichever is first. And then we'll see if there is a little bit time left to quickly check if I think what yarn would be the most comparable to this one. But I think it's like Ice Favorites or a yarn along those lines. That would be the same as the Yarny, the Secret Yarnery that she's using. Quite often she does import a crap ton of ice from Turkey to Kenya. I've gotten some Rico Basic DK in Mary Maxim mystery bags. I've also gotten Zeeman yarn in the Mary mystery bags. So the Zeeman yarn is this is Zeeman in the name Royal. I'm just surprised that Zeeman ends up in Mary Maxim mystery packs because it's a huge chain. It's a huge store chain. I'm unsure if it's a German or if it's a Dutch chain, but still. But it could be that they just sold their rest stock or something like that. I wouldn't know, to be honest. We are extremely close. Look, this is what we have left. One skein used. One more skein gone, done and dusted. I am going to end it here because I do need a little bit of tail to weave in. We were just a few stitches short, so in the sense of the row, we lost yarn chicken, but I have a new skein to put on, but that is not going to happen in this life. For your curiosity, this is the whole project from one skein. We could measure it for funsies just to see how much waffle stitch will you get from a skein of 3.5 ounce skein with my tension, obviously. Oops. Let's do in inches for you guys because you understand that easier than I do. Most of you are in the US. Let's see. Don't tangle. It is 30 inches long and currently a little bit more than 6 inches, 6 inches and 1/4 high. That is one skein, size-wise. And when these ends are sewn together, as you can see, I definitely still can't fit my arm in it. So we need to do another, probably 2 skeins, full skeins, I'd estimate, before we get to the sewing bit. Ta-ta! This is what we've got to do today. Awesome. Awesome. I am pretty pleased with how far we got. definitely a good solid. Let's see. I'm just quickly gonna check ice for the favorites, what the specifics are. Um, and I see they got a nice new one, which I'm like, oh, this nice baby tweed looks nice. Mhm. But I also have some from ice where I'm like, nah, not exactly what I had hoped it to be. Anti-pilling baby. It's not what is. Where is my? Could it be similar to savor, maybe? Let's see. The twisted DK is too thin, so that's not it. And save 100 is too thick. And the regular favorite is actually also just a little bit too thick. So it's thicker than favorite, or thinner than favorite, what I'm using. So it's not favorite either. We learned that. Yeah, savor thick. It's thinner than savor. It's like halfway between. Anyhow, that was pretty much it for today because it's 5 p.m. here, which means that I unfortunately have to get going because I need to cook dinner and I have an appointment tonight and I cannot be late for that. It was absolutely wonderful hanging out with you guys today. I had a wonderful conversation, yarn technical stuff, and we crocheted and we looked at stuff and I made good progress. Happy. Is Saver Red Heart Super Saver proper? I don't know. I wouldn't know. It's a conversation we'll have to continue another time, unfortunately, because as I said, I'm kind of stuck up. Next week I won't be live because next week I'm not home, but I will have videos for you guys to watch. So the videos will be up, and you can go have a watch of them. So you have a little bit to watch while you craft in the background. So regular video content will be out next week. Thank you so much for hanging around with me today. As I said, I had a great time. It was nice company together with my tea and my crafty project. I love you all. Take care and happy crafting. Until I see you next time. Bye.